Welcome to a new deep dive. We take a pile of data and try to make it make sense for you. Today we're firing things up a bit. We're looking into, maybe surprisingly, the global market for charcoal grills.
Oh.
Yeah, we've got this report from Cognitive Market Research looking all the way out to 2033. And our job today, go beyond the numbers, find the interesting trends, and really help you see what's cooking, globally speaking, connected to bigger things.
Absolutely. It's fascinating, isn't it, how sometimes these, well, seemingly niche markets, they can tell you a lot about wider economic shifts and what consumers are doing. And this report, it gives a really clear snapshot of where the demand, literally the heat, is for these grills worldwide. It kind of challenges some ideas about where growth comes from.
Okay, let's get into it. Globally, things are definitely looking up for charcoal grills. It's a steady climb. We're talking just over, $1.8 billion back in 2021.
Right.
Projected to hit over $2.2 billion by 2025, and then really jump to over $3.3 billion by 2033. That works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of about 5.1%.
And that 5.1%, I mean, over more than 10 years, that's not just steady growth. That's robust. It shows real sustained demand.
Right. It's not just a fad.
Exactly. It suggests that charcoal grilling isn't just, a passing thing. It's deeply rooted in culture in lots of places, and it's still expanding.
Yeah.
Maybe even picking up steam with, outdoor living trends and income growth.
So what does that look like on the ground in different regions? The big number is one thing, but the regional stories are where it gets really interesting, I think.
Totally agree.
Let's break it down. Where is the market really sizzling? Let's start with North America. Solid growth here. Sales looking to almost double from around $577 million in 21 up to over $1 billion by 2033.
Yeah.
That's keeping a steady CAGR just under 5%.
Yeah. And if you drill down into North America, the picture gets even more detailed. The U.S. is the biggest chunk. No surprise there.
Sure.
Growing from, $400 million-ish to over $700 million. But here's a little twist.
Okay.
Canada. Its growth rate is actually higher. It's pushing past a 6% CAGR.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, starting smaller, around $118 million, but heading towards $234 million. Mexico's solid, too, just over 4%.
So why Canada? Any ideas?
Well, the report doesn't spell it out, but you could guess, right?
Okay.
Maybe a stronger outdoor living push lately, more people in cities using balconies or patios, maybe even some specific demographic shifts favoring that kind of cooking. It makes you wonder.
That is fascinating about Canada. Shows those hidden dynamics, even in big markets. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe. What's the picture there?
Europe's market was about $448 million back in 2021.
Right.
It's projected to grow to almost $770 million by 2033. So the CAGR there is around 4.7%.
Pretty steady.
Yeah. Germany's leading the pack in Europe, going from about $106 million to over $192 million. The UK, also strong, good growth, about 5.5% CAGR.
Okay.
France, Italy, Russia, they're all growing steadily around that 4% mark. But what really jumps out, and this is kind of cool,
What's that?
the category they call Rest of Europe, it actually has the highest CAGR in Europe, a pretty remarkable 6.8%.
Wow, from a smaller base, I assume.
Exactly. Starting smaller, about $11 million, but heading towards $20 million. It shows there's rapid growth happening in maybe less traditional or emerging markets within Europe itself. Definitely worth watching.
That rest of Europe point is great, finding those hidden growth spots.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift again. Asia-Pacific, things seem to be really heating up there.
Oh, definitely.
We're looking at revenue almost doubling from just over $313 million in 2021 to over $613 million by 2033. And that's driven by a strong 5.5% annual growth.
And China's a big player there, as you'd expect, set to roughly double its market size by 2033, growing at a solid 5.6%.
Right.
But the real story here, the one that should definitely catch your attention, is India.
India.
Yeah, India's surging. It's
Yeah.
actually leading the region in growth rate with an impressive 6.7% CAGR.
Wow.
It's set to more than double, going from around $44 million to almost $100 million. That points to a huge potential consumer base really getting into outdoor cooking as incomes rise.
That's significant.
It is. And you also see solid growth in Japan, South Korea, Australia. Plus, Taiwan and Southeast Asia, they also have notably higher SOCG, kind of around that 6% mark, similar to India. Lots happening there.
Okay, let's head down to South America. That market generated over $233 million in 21, and it's projected to hit about $400 million by 2033, so a 4.5% CAGR there.
Brazil's the anchor, naturally, moving from about $86 million to over $150 million. steady 4.7% growth.
Okay.
Argentina and Colombia also strong. And actually, Colombia has the highest growth rate in South America, just over 5%, growing from around $34 million to over $61 million. It suggests that, grilling culture is strong and still growing across the continent.
Right. Makes sense. Now, the Middle East, that was about $140 million in 2021. Yep. Projected to grow quite a bit, nearly $270 million by 2033, and a very healthy 5.6% CJR.
Saudi Arabia is the biggest market there, set to roughly double by 2033, growing at almost 6%.
Strong.
But look at the UAE. It stands out with the highest CJR in the Middle East, over 6%.
Really? Over 6%?
Yeah, growing from about $22 million to over $45 million. You could maybe chalk that up to the growing expat population, tourism, maybe that outdoor living culture, especially when it's cooler.
Feel quiet.
And Turkey, Egypt, Qatar also add significantly to the region's growth, too.
Okay, last but definitely not least, Africa. Recorded just over $109 million in 2021. Projected to reach over $231 million by 2033. And this is the kicker, demonstrating the highest regional CAGR globally, a truly remarkable 6.8%.
This is maybe the most compelling part of the whole report, Africa's growth.
Almost 7%. What's behind that?
Well, South Africa is leading the charge, an incredible 7.4% CAGR.
Wow.
Surging from about $49 million to a projected $110 million by 2033. Nigeria also showing very strong growth, around 6.5%.
So what does that signal?
It points to really exciting developments in consumer markets there, rising incomes, growing middle class, more adoption of modern consumer goods and lifestyles. It's a really clear sign of economic dynamism on the continent.
That African growth, especially South Africa, is genuinely remarkable.
Oh.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How something like a charcoal grill can reflect these huge economic and cultural shifts.
Exactly.
So let's pull it all together. Connecting the dots. What's the big picture takeaway here?
Well, what's fascinating is that consistent upward trend everywhere. It shows a strong preference, maybe a growing adoption of charcoal grilling, perhaps tied to the experience, maybe affordability too.
Right.
And while North America and Europe are huge markets by size, those higher growth rates in places like Africa, South Africa's 7.4% is just amazing. And parts of Asia Pacific, like India's 6.7%, they really signal shifting global consumption patterns. Maybe rising disposable income in these emerging economies is a huge factor. And it raises a key question, I think, for anyone watching this market. How much of this growth is your typical backyard barbecue versus, say, commercial use? Street food vendors, restaurants, or just a global embrace of cooking styles that really lend themselves to charcoal?
That's a great question. What does that mean for supply chains distribution?
Yeah. Exactly. Lots to consider.
Well, we've certainly taken a deep dive today into the global charcoal grills market, from the big numbers to those really interesting regional stories. Hopefully you have a much clearer picture now of where things stand and where they're heading, and maybe more importantly, what this specific market tells us about the wider world.
Yeah, this cognitive market research report really shows that even in industries we think we know, there are always new stories, surprising growth, especially if you look just below the surface.
Absolutely. So here's a final thought for you to mull over. As global tastes keep changing and the economic map keeps shifting, could the humble charcoal grill actually become an even more significant indicator? A signpost for cultural exchange, for the rise of new consumer classes, maybe more than we even realize right now. Yeah. Something to think about. We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.